Hello and welcome back to my 160th American Civil War playthrough series. We're up to the Battle of Piedmont, and this occurred June 5th, 1864. And just want to give you a little bit of background on this. Continuing with our Shenandoah campaign, Piedmont, as you can see here, was the next battle after Newmarket, and a little bit of commentary, about what happened here as we look at the Piedmont scenario, is that after Newmarket and the rout that occurred there of Sigel, he actually retreated all the way back up to Winchester, and then ultimately Martinsburg and Harper's Ferry up here, and was ultimately replaced by David Hunter shortly after the battle. I think it was just about a week or so after the battle he was replaced by David Hunter, who reorganized I shouldn't say reorganized, but restructured the command and put some more fight into the Army of the Shenandoah for the Union. Hunter was a fighting general. He basically wanted to take it to them, and that's what Grant was looking for when he replaced Sigel with him. So consequently, he set up a plan to attack, again, up the valley to push out units that were there. Now, Breckinridge, at the same time, just to understand from the Confederate side what happened to him, because Breckinridge didn't stay in the valley. He was recalled to the Army of Northern Virginia to help Lee with the losses that was being taken at Wilderness and Spotsylvania. He was actually recalled, and his units were recalled over into that army to replace those losses that he had incurred, because Lee was incurring heavy losses, not as much as Grant. Grant was still taking a lot more losses, but the replacements for those losses were getting harder and harder for the Confederates. So consequently, Breckinridge was brought out of the valley. That left just Imboden to hold out in the valley, and his cavalry to hold in the valley. And they basically held out here around Newmarket, Harrisonburg, and in that general area, while Hunter reorganized the Army of the Shenandoah to move back down again. So when Hunter went on the offensive in late May of 1864, he headed down the valley. The only thing to stop him was just several thousand troops of Imboden's cavalry, if that. And here Hunter still had his units of nearly 10,000 strong to attack down the valley. Now Hunter did one thing too. He stripped back units from guarding the Baltimore and Ohio. That is a big factor when we look at the Shenandoah campaign. Baltimore and Ohio was a key concern because of all the raids by partisans and irregular troops up there to try to derail and to break the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. So consequently, there was a lot of troops that were stationed along there as guards and garrisons to hold out over there. So he pulled back some of those. There's still key ones there, but his force was going to go down the valley, clean it out for good, and hold out and deny that from the Confederates. So he got his army in place, he restructured a little bit, organized and drilled to get these troops going from a green status effectively as an army to a more experienced, not much, but more experienced army. Several of the units had now experienced combat at Newmarket. So he just wanted to train them more because he was a very aggressive general and wanted to attack and wanted to really defeat Confederates in the Shenandoah Valley. So he made his way back down the valley, came down here, passed through Newmarket, and took Harrisonburg, I should say, and then moved down and was looking to take the Staunton area, which includes this Waynesboro, Waynesboro down here in the Gap in the Blue Ridge Mountains, so that they could control the railroad going into Chancellorsville and really cut Staunton off and the resources there to Lee. So he came down. His attack came across over here, came up the Valley Pike, I should say, and deviated a little bit to come over to Piedmont to try to get around Imboden and the army down there. Well, once this started occurring, they saw Hunter moving down there. Lee and company were in a dilemma of what to do, and they actually brought in William Grumble Jones to defend here with Imboden reinforcements. These reinforcements were down here in the upper valley, almost to the Tennessee border, defending down here, holding off from any incursions from West Virginia in the south there, over there. But they were brought forward up. Again, not very many troops. We're only talking a few thousand more. I think they topped off about 7,000 or 8,000 when it was all done, with Imboden and with Jones's army. They came up to try to hold them off, and that resulted in the Battle of Piedmont, which we're looking at here. And what happened with this again was kind of more of a meeting engagement with this. What we're looking at here is that Hunter was moving down his cavalry, again, scouting out in front of his infantry, moving down from Staunton to try to attack and destroy Imboden before he could hook up with Jones and kind of defeat them in pieces rather than the whole thing. So he started coming down, deviated off the Valley Pike, came down to the Staunton Port Republic Road, and where we're going to pick this up is the second scenario in the Great Battles of American Civil War series, which has us at midday, or slightly after midday. I think it's 1 p.m. I'll just double check it. 1 p.m., yes. 1 p.m., where Hunter's army is now gathered. Before this, what I was showing you up at Mount Meridian and along the Port Republic Staunton Road, that was the advance. And if you played out the whole scenario, which has the cavalry advance beforehand, that map is actually used. I looked at doing that, but I really wanted to concentrate more on this particular battle because this was the key piece of it there. The cavalry engagement was more just a holding action, which led up to the piece we're looking at right here. So what we are actually looking at, I'm going to zoom you out a little bit. There we go. What we're actually looking at here is the lower half of the map, and we're looking at Piedmont, the town of Piedmont right here, hence what the battle is named after. And again, this Staunton Port Republic Road, which was the key point to get in control, because they were going to get around here and then move on Staunton, hopefully breaking Imboden and then ultimately Jones. Now, what happened though is that Imboden kind of won that cavalry engagement by holding off Hunter and his army long enough for Jones to get up here and actually build out some temporary breastworks here to kind of hold this particular road here. So consequently, Hunter had to bring up his infantry and go into a traditional attack to take this. Now, historically, we'll lay that out here at this moment. Historically, what happened was Hunter was actually able to throw some attacks in here. His initial attacks failed. They were repulsed, I should say. Didn't fail, but they were repulsed, and they moved back. Eventually, his attacks did succeed when they moved around to the Confederate right over here, and then eventually dislodged Jones from here, and then subsequent attacks pushed Jones, and ultimately Jones had to pull out and retreat out of there. It became a Union victory from there. So that's the historical piece of it there. We are set up in that same historical stance. Like I said, 1 p.m. turn, where we have Hunter's 2 infantry brigades up here. We have Moore right here. Sullivan, obviously, in division command, and Thorburn down here in reserve. DuPont has his artillery. He was the artillery chief. Hunter is actually set up here. A couple cavalry units flanking him. Let's see, who was the cavalry commander here? I can't remember. Stahl. That's right. What am I thinking of? Stahl has two basically companies or units. Actually, 21st New York and 14th PA is right over there, not guarding him, but covering him over there. Ultimately, he made his command in this Shaver house and was overseeing the battle from there. On the Confederate side, we have Jones set up over here, and his main infantry were set up over here. And I forget who, that's his artillery, that's artillery. And I think, yes, this is B. Jones over here, that's W. Jones over there, and then the other infantry is Brown over here, his two brigades over there. Then we have Vaughn, dismounted cavalry over here. They were some that came up from Tennessee as well. They will play into other battles, as we'll see, because they pretty much stay in the valley after this. And then we've got Harper over here, which was kind of local militia between Rockbridge militia and the miners in terms of digging tunnels and things like that. They actually formed a brigade because a lot of this area down here was mining country here as well. There was a small regiment that came up to defend over here as well. Then we have Imboden defending the hill up here, or I should say the Patterson's Mill Road. This is a key point. Victory hexes here, 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 and here. All occupation of that will convey victory points. It's going to be the standard victory conditions, brigade and division effectiveness or ineffectiveness are going to be worth points. Loss of artillery, loss of cavalry units will be worth points, as well as these victory points over here. I just want to double check one more thing. Oh yes, Confederates, if they cannot trace a route to the side of the board over here, excluding these hexes here, or the south side of the board here, will be considered routed at the end of the game, so that could cause more brigade ineffectiveness and ultimately division ineffectiveness there as well. So those will be the victory conditions in there. Union is obviously the attacker. Confederates are going to be the defender over here, and we'll see how this battle works out. In terms of strategies for them, Jones is in a defensive position. They're going to hold out as long as they can to hold these victory hexes because they get lots of points for those. I think they're 5 points apiece. So that, just by holding all of those, could win the game for them within there. So it's purely going to be defensive. Trying to hold the line, trying to make sure that they don't lose the ability to trace their lines of supply off the map. For the Union, it's very straightforward. It's going to be attack, break the lines, get around them, try to surround them, getting into Piedmont here, taking these hexes, and cutting off a lot of their supply so that they cannot get points for that, or they'll become ineffective, I guess is what I should say. So that's pretty much everything for the setup on here. This is a very short one. This is only 5 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 turns on here. So it should go pretty quick. I expect in terms of videos, obviously you're seeing this one as the introduction. I'm going to get into turn 1 on the next video and see how it goes. So maybe around 5 or 6 videos, probably shorter, because I'll probably do summaries and I will group them together like I did with the Newmarket battles there as well. So Hopefully enjoyed this introduction, and you'll stay tuned for watching turn 1 and the whole battle. So thanks for watching. Please like us, leave a comment, and look forward to the next one with you. Hello, welcome back to the end of turn 1 of the Battle of Piedmont, playing with Death Valley GMT. So where we're at is the Union has initiated an attack. Union was on the attack with this, as I explained in the intro video, but the Union has initiated an attack. Hunter has activated Sullivan, who is the infantry brigade or infantry division commander, activating Moore, and Moore's brigade has, starting from here, attacked up the hill to push out the 2 Confederate units that were holding out on the road here, on the Piedmont Road over here, and that was Brewer's battalion that was up here that was pushed out from there. Quite a sharp little fight with this, starting with some artillery from the Union side over here with DuPont and the cavalry horse artillery over here, bombarding these units. Not much damage from that. Eventually, though, the 18th Connecticut did unleash a volley up here, which disrupted the top unit of that stack. And eventually another one from the Ohio unit, that's more 28th Ohio, also unleashed a volley that was able to drive one of the units back. Then the 18th Connecticut and the 28th Ohio assaulted, shocked that hex, able to break them and push out the other half of the battalion, and they retreated back a couple hexes and then ultimately moved back here as part of their move. It was a sharp fight because, as I said, there was a little bit of casualties. The 18th Connecticut took one loss here as they attack, so they're down to a 9-step. Also, too, as part of the 28th Ohio, lost a step over here, but not to combat, but to actually try to recover. They were disordered, recovered, rolled a 9. So they unfortunately lost a step over there as well. Same thing with the Confederates, though. In the battle itself, they were initially disrupted, as I said, retreated, and then the other unit actually lost a step as part of the shock attack here and had to retreat back over here. So they each lost one step out of it as part of the battle. Those have been the 2 steps out of the battle. 1 step over here was lost. Moving up here to Stahl's cavalry, they actually moved up because Imboden's troops actually deployed a couple cavalry over here in a very good position to hold out any attacks coming down the creek bed of Crawford's Run over here. Stahl replied by moving up his own cavalry, dismounting them over in here. But one unit did take some artillery fire from this unit here, the Augusta battery, and ultimately was pushed back and tried to recover. And again, they failed with a 9 and lost another step over there, which actually hurts because that's a victory point step. So got to rethink Stahl here a little bit. I'm thinking he may shift a little bit, but we'll talk about that here a little bit later. Thorburn, the other infantry brigade for Sullivan, who is positioned back here as reserved, has moved up behind the headquarters of Hunter, positioned to figure out where he's going to go next. Then we have the artillery back here, reinforced by 2 more batteries, the West Virginia 1st D Battery and the 20th New York Battery reinforced here as well. I've traded some shots up here with this guy, the Leesburg Artillery, but no appreciable damage over there. Wynkoop has arrived as well. He is just on the ford of the Middle River. He'll move across later. I'm not sure what he's going to be doing. As you can see, there's plenty of Confederates up here on the hill, plenty of breastworks and stuff, so not sure if he's going to attack them or not within there. Confederate side, not much movement other than recovering these units that were up in front, trying to recover them. Vaughn has moved up as part of his movement to kind of fill the gap here at Crawford Run. As I mentioned before, these units have moved down to position on here, and Imboden is kind of stretched here slightly. He does have his artillery up here at a good point where he should be, where he can see over and pretty much fire into the little valley here of Crawford Run. So he should be able to cover that, and that's going to make some problems. Actually, it already has. This guy right here, the 14th PAB Battalion, has disordered, so they're going to have to recover or do something to recover eventually here. So all in all, in about where you'd expect the first turn, sharp engagement up here, a little repositioning over there. Oh, forgot a out of command marker there. Take that off. And we'll be moving on to the second turn, which I expect to see a little bit more tacking through here. And rethinking this, I think McReynolds' cavalry over here, they're going to shift more into the woods here and put some pressure over here, try to get around the guns and maybe take them over here. Because you can see there's two victory hexes over here, which are lightly defended by Imboden's cavalry. McReynolds might do that. That will actually open up a gap here in the Union lines, which will allow Thorburn to come over and fill in and have his infantry go against the cavalry units as well as Vaughn's units, which are foot cavalry. They were cavaliers, but they left their horses back in southern Virginia, and now they're foot infantry. So they're a little bit weaker against this infantry, so they may be able to break through here and do something. I think Moore is going to continue to put pressure on the Confederate right side and see what he could do, but he's going up against breastwork, so it's going to be a little bit tough for him to attack here as well. We'll have to figure out where the artillery goes here too, because he's got to worry about both the Leesburg and Augusta artillery as he moves up within there. Confederate perspective, strong position over here, weaker as we move to the Confederate right with just cavalry over here, so we may be doing some shifting of units or not, I'm not sure, but considering that there's 1, 2, 3, if we count the Piedmont victory hex down here, 3 hexes that are key that could be broken through in the Crawford Run Valley here, or coming up through the woods and going over there. So we're gonna have to watch out for those. But that will be all in turn 2. So that's the end of turn 1. Last thing I'll just point out, just zoom over here quickly. You can see the chits in terms of the chit draw. If I zoom in here just a little bit, that's way too much. There we go. You can see it was cavalry, Stahl, Jones, artillery, Sullivan, artillery, Jones, Stahl, cavalry, and then Sullivan in the end. So it generally favored the Union here in the middle. Jones came out a little bit early. Didn't have much to do, though. Just shuffled his lines around. He did get a later one where he could move back Jones, as I talked about before there. But that's kind of the order of chit draw in there as well. So that's it for turn 1. We'll move on to turn 2. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to turn 2. This is the 2 p.m. turn, the end of the 2 p.m. turn for Death Valley, Battle of Piedmont, 160th playthrough of the battle here. So at the end of turn 2, the second turn, this 2 p.m. turn, had quite a dramatic battle. And unfortunately, because I'm playing this live, I can't capture the positions in between or at different points in time. But I'll try to describe what happened here. Because as you can see with where it's laid out here at the end of the turn, The Confederate B. Jones Brigade has advanced from the breastworks forward. Now, that does not tell the full story in terms of what happened to the Union, because you see a number of collapsed units back here. But Moore had initially been positioned a little bit farther forward, attacked, and actually overran the Leesburg artillery here in this hex, drove back many of Jones's units back into the woods behind here as well, and actually drove Brown out here as well, and actually captured all the way to this line right about here before Jones and Brown had counterattacked, or had stabilized the line, and I should say counterattacked. So Moore had a very good attack, basically overran the guns. The guns ran out of ammunition, couldn't fire when they were overrun. Very easy overrun for Moore. With the 116th Ohio, as well as the Connecticut Brigade right here. This is the 18th Connecticut. Had overrun this and really had pushed them back. Many units were disorganized and had to recover. Fortunately, they did for the Confederates, and they were able to do that. You also notice the Augusta battery had fallen back here too, because they were threatened to be overrun as well at this point. But the counterattack by Jones and Brown started when Brown's unit, the Thomas Legion right here, was able to disrupt the 18th Connecticut, who were sitting right here. And then slowly but surely, the units of Jones, 36th Virginia, what else do we have here? 60th Virginia, started to recover from being disorganized themselves, and then started a counterattack, basically by shooting and also by shock attacks, or threatened shock attacks that drove Moore's units back because they were disorganized because of the attacks, and ultimately pushed them back here. And then they did have to retreat once again when they were threatened with attacks, and that led to their collapse, the unit's collapse, as you can see here, of the two battalions for the 116th, as well as the 18th Connecticut Regiment back over there. So very dramatic swing of attack and counterattack, but Jones himself is now vulnerable. They're well forward, well in range of the artillery back here, which we could see for the next turn, hitting him here as well. Also, we still have units here of the 28th Ohio and the 5th New York Heavy Artillery, capable of, counterattacking his counterattack. As well as you can see, Thorburn has moved up and is now pushing against this lesser line of Vaughn and Jones, W. Jones's regiments back here against them, which is, I think, a more vulnerable position for Jones's units over here. Although they do have a strong flank defense over here, they're going to have to contend with the remnants of Moore's brigade here as well. So it's still pretty much up in the air in terms of the Union attack. The other spot to watch over here is the cavalry, Stahl's cavalry. McReynolds, shifted his units into the woods, looking to attack and go for these hexes, because you can see there's a number of hexes over here, and trying to flank around and defeat Imboden, who is holding this area. So that will be something that'll form up here and possibly become a serious attack against the Confederate positions over in here. So been a little bit of a rough time. Kind of played out very directly with the chip pulls, and you can see what started with Confederates with Jones. Then two of Sullivan's activations came out, and that allowed Moore to do that attack over here that I was mentioning about before. Then we had Stahl, some of the artillery, Jones cavalry, artillery, Cavalry, a little bit of repositioning, a little bit of firing over here. The big thing came down here with Jones pulling 2 chits towards the end. They had 4 activations, and the Union had 3 activations per brigade. So there's quite a bit of activations going on here during this particular turn. But these 2 were key in terms of this counterattack by the Confederates over here. So 2 p.m. turn, very interesting one, as I said, down here. It's still up in the air. Confederates hold 2 victory points for knocking out a couple strength points for the cavalry. Union almost had 6 points right here with the overrunning of the artillery. We'll see what happens as it plays out here in the future. They're still pretty vulnerable in terms of their position and where they are. So we'll move on to the third turn, which is the 3 p.m. turn, and see how it plays out. There'll be 2 more turns after that. So it's getting kind of to the critical phase, and we'll see how it goes from there. So stay tuned for the next ones, and hope you enjoy it, and please like and subscribe.